H1. Frost and Melody. The estate loomed like a fortress against the autumn sky, all sharp angles and glass that reflected the cloudy morning in fractured pieces. Nora Winters pulled her worn coat tighter as she approached the entrance, her resume clutched in slightly trembling fingers. Miss Winters, I presume? The housekeeper, who opened the door, had kind eyes that contradicted her formal tone. Mr. Reeves is waiting in the east wing. Follow me. Nora nodded, following the woman through corridors that felt more like a museum than a home. Expensive art adorned walls that had never known a child's fingerprints. The air smelled of lemon polish and emptiness. He's in a mood today, the housekeeper whispered as they paused before heavy oak doors. Don't take it personally. Before Nora could respond, the doors swung open to reveal a minimalist studio dominated by a grand piano positioned before floor-to-ceiling windows. A man stood silhouetted against the gray sky, his back to them. Ms. Winters is here, sir, the housekeeper announced before discreetly withdrawing. The man turned, and Nora felt her breath catch involuntarily. Dominic Reeves was younger than she'd expected, perhaps 35, with features that seemed carved from stone. Dark hair fell across a forehead creased with what appeared to be permanent concentration. His eyes, a startling shade of amber, assessed her with clinical detachment. You're punctual, he stated, as if this surprised him. Unusual in musicians. Nora straightened her shoulders. I take commitments seriously, Mr. Reeves. And yet your resume shows 6 different positions in 4 years. Different projects, she corrected gently. I specialize in music therapy for children who've experienced trauma. Something flickered across his face, so briefly she might have imagined it, before his expression hardened again. My niece needs a piano teacher, not a therapist. He gestured toward a small file on the piano. Lily is 8. She hasn't spoken in 11 months, since the accident. Her previous instructors quit because she refused to engage. And you think piano lessons will help? Her mother was a concert pianist. Before the accident, Lily showed promise. He turned away, staring out at the expansive grounds. If you're expecting a warm, grateful child, you should leave now. Nora set her bag down. I don't expect gratitude, Mr. Reeves. I expect hard work from both of us. He turned back, a hint of surprise crossing his features. The position includes room and board, he continued, all business again. You'll have weekends off. Payment terms are in the contract. Ms. Harlow will show you to your quarters and introduce you to Lily. He paused, eyes narrowing slightly. One condition, Ms. Winters. Yes? This house operates on professional terms. No attempts at forced familiarity or emotional entanglements. Lily needs consistency and structure, not false affection. Nora met his gaze steadily. With respect, Mr. Reeves, music isn't structure, it's emotion. But I understand your boundaries. P seemed taken aback by her directness. Then we have an understanding. P. Later that afternoon, Nora met Lily, a small, solemn child with her uncle's amber eyes and a cascade of dark curls. She sat perfectly still in the window seat of her bedroom, a book open but unread on her lap. P. Hello, Lily, Nora said softly, settling nearby but not too close. I'm Nora. I'll be staying here for a while. P. The child didn't respond, didn't even look up. P. I thought we might talk about music today. Not play yet, just talk. Nora opened her own book. Or we could sit quietly. Sometimes silence says more than words. For 30 minutes, they remained that way. Nora occasionally hummed softly, a Debussy piece that floated through the room like mist. As she prepared to leave, she noticed Lily's small fingers tapping the rhythm against her book. Once, so subtly it might have been accidental. That evening, Dominic found Nora in the kitchen, making tea. How was your first session? His tone suggested he expected failure. Nora smiled slightly. We established trust. By doing what? By respecting each other's silence, Mr. Reeves. She met his gaze, noticing how the kitchen lights warmed his otherwise cold features. Sometimes healing begins in the spaces between notes. For a moment, something in his expression softened. Then he nodded curtly and left, leaving Nora wondering what melodies lay buried beneath his frost. Broken strings. 3 weeks into her stay at Reeves Manor, Nora had established a gentle routine. Each morning, she'd take breakfast in the solarium, leaving small offerings of fruit and pastries for Lily, who would appear like a ghost, taking what she wanted before disappearing again. By mid-morning, they'd meet in the music room, no longer for silent sessions, but for tentative explorations of the piano. That's it, Nora encouraged as Lily's small fingers pressed hesitantly against the ivory keys. Feel the vibration through your fingertips. Music isn't just sound, it's sensation. The child still hadn't spoken, but her body language had softened. Today, she sat closer to Nora than ever before. Her shoulders relaxed as she mimicked the simple scales Nora demonstrated. From the doorway came the sound of someone clearing their throat. Dominic stood watching, his expression unreadable. "Mr. Reeves," Nora acknowledged with a nod. "Would you like to join us? I have a conference call." His eyes lingered on Lily, whose posture had immediately stiffened. "I needed to inform you that I'll be away for 3 days. Business in Seattle." Of course. Nora noticed how he avoided looking directly at the piano, as if the instrument itself caused him pain. "Lily's medication schedule is with Mrs. Harlow. If there are any issues, contact my assistant." He turned to leave, then paused. "The foundation gala is next month. Lily should attend for at least an appearance. Perhaps you could prepare something simple for her to play." Nora felt Lily tense beside her. "That seems premature. The Reeves Foundation funds arts education for underprivileged children. It would be meaningful to have Lily participate." His tone brooked no argument. After he'd gone, Lily abruptly slid from the bench and ran from the room. Nora found her later in the garden, huddled beneath a willow tree, tears streaming silently down her face. "He's not trying to hurt you," Nora said softly, settling on the grass nearby. "He just doesn't know how to reach you." The look Lily gave her was so full of complicated emotion that Nora's heart ached. She reached out slowly, offering her hand palm up, an invitation, not a demand. After a long moment, Lily placed her small hand in Nora's. That evening, Nora worked late in the music room, composing a simple piece that might comfort Lily. She hadn't realized how much time had passed until Dominic appeared in the doorway, his suit jacket discarded, tie loosened. "I thought you'd left for Seattle," she said, startled. "Early flight tomorrow." He remained in the doorway as if uncertain of his welcome in the room. "That melody, what is it?" "Something I'm writing for Lily. It's not finished." He took a step into the room, then another, like someone approaching a precipice. "You've made more progress with her in 3 weeks than her therapists did in months. Music offers expression without words." Nora watched him carefully. "Sometimes that's easier." "Is that why you chose music therapy? To help people avoid conversation?" His tone wasn't accusatory, merely curious. Nora smiled slightly. "I chose it because music saved me once." She gestured to the bench beside her. "Would you like to sit?" To her surprise, he did, though he maintained careful distance between them. His proximity made her acutely aware of the faint scent of his cologne, something with notes of cedar and bergamot. "After my sister's accident," he said abruptly, "Lily wouldn't let anyone touch the piano. It was Eleanor's, my sister's, favorite possession." "And yours?" Nora asked gently. His jaw tightened. "I don't play anymore." "But you did once." A muscle worked in his throat. "Another lifetime." He stood suddenly. "It's late. You should rest." 3 days without Dominic's brooding presence transformed the house. Nora found herself taking meals with Lily in different rooms. A picnic in the conservatory, breakfast on the terrace. On the second evening, during a spectacular thunderstorm, she built a fort of blankets in the library, where they huddled together, reading stories by flashlight. "Your uncle will be home tomorrow," Nora mentioned as she tucked Lily into bed. "Shall we show him what we've been practicing?" Lily's response was to clutch Nora's hand tightly, her eyes conveying a wordless plea. "No performance," Nora promised, smoothing back the child's hair. "Just for him, just family." The following afternoon, Dominic returned earlier than expected, walking into the music room just as Lily was playing the simple melody Nora had composed. The child's fingers faltered at the sight of him. "Don't stop," he said, softer than Nora had ever heard him speak. "Please." Lily looked at Nora, who nodded encouragement. Tentatively, the girl resumed playing, the gentle composition filling the room with something that had been missing from this house for too long. When she finished, Dominic remained frozen, his expression raw with emotion. "That was beautiful, Lily," he managed finally. The child did something then that stunned them both. She walked to Dominic and took his hand, leading him to the piano bench. She pointed to the keys, then to him. "I don't," he began. But Lily's expression was insistent. She placed his hands on the keys and waited. Dominic looked at Nora, something like panic in his eyes. "Music remembers even when we try to forget," Nora said quietly. With visible reluctance, he began to play, hesitantly at first, then with growing confidence, a Chopin nocturne that filled the room with longing. Lily leaned against his shoulder, her eyes closed. When he finished, the silence felt different, not empty, but full of possibility. "You never mentioned you played at this level," Nora said later, after Lily had gone to bed. Dominic stood by the window, silhouetted against the evening sky. "There are many things I don't mention, Miss Winters." "Nora," she corrected gently. "I think we've moved past formalities, don't you?" He turned, and she was startled by the vulnerability in his expression. "Boundaries exist for a reason." "Yes," she agreed, gathering her music sheets. "But sometimes they exist because we're afraid of what might happen if we lower them." His eyes met hers, across the room. "And what happens then?" "Then," she said softly, "we might have to admit we're not as broken as we thought." RH1. Resonance. October brought crisp mornings and golden afternoons to the estate. Leaves scattered across the immaculate lawns like nature's rebellion against Dominic's carefully ordered world. For Nora, the changing season marked 2 months at Reeves Manor, 2 months of small victories and lingering silences. The foundation gala loomed just 3 weeks away. Though Dominic hadn't mentioned a performance since that day in the music room, Nora could sense his hope whenever he watched Lily at the piano. The child had progressed remarkably, her fingers growing more confident with each session, though she remained selectively mute. "I found something you might like to see," Dominic said one evening, appearing in the doorway of Nora's small sitting room. The unexpected visit startled her. He rarely sought her out beyond their now regular evening updates about Lily. She closed her composition notebook. "Oh, if you're not too tired." His formal tone contrasted with the uncertainty in his eyes. Curious, Nora followed him through the west wing to a section of the house she'd never explored. He stopped before an ornate door, hesitating before producing an old-fashioned key. "This was Eleanor's private studio," he explained, voice tight with controlled emotion. "I haven't opened it since." The unfinished sentence hung between them. Nora waited. giving him space to proceed or retreat. He pushed the door open, revealing a room that time had forgotten. Unlike the stark modernity of the main house, this space overflowed with warmth. Bookshelves crammed with sheet music, walls covered with concert programs and photographs, comfortable furniture arranged for conversation rather than impression. "It's beautiful," Nora breathed. Dominic remained in the doorway, as if unable to cross the threshold. Eleanor believed music should be lived, not merely performed. She taught community classes, mentored promising students who couldn't afford conservatory training. His eyes traveled the room with painful recognition. The foundation was her idea. Nora moved carefully through the space, noting the personal touches: a half-finished cup of tea, forever abandoned; a sweater, draped over a chair, as if its owner might return any moment to claim it. "Why show me this now?" she asked gently. "Because Lily asked about her mother's music yesterday." His voice wavered slightly. "She wrote me a note, her first communication beyond gestures. She wanted to know if Eleanor left any compositions behind." Nora's heart quickened. "That's wonderful progress. I didn't know what to tell her. I've never had the courage to look through Eleanor's things." He finally stepped into the room, moving to a cabinet beside a small upright piano. "But I thought perhaps you might help me find something appropriate." They spent the evening sifting through Eleanor's compositions, Dominic occasionally pausing to explain the context behind certain pieces. As midnight approached, Nora discovered a folder labeled "For Lily's 8th birthday." "Dominic," she said softly, using his first name without thinking. "I think this is what we've been looking for." Inside was a simple composition titled "Firefly Dreams," clearly written for a child's developing skills, but with a haunting melody that spoke of deep affection. Dominic stared at the sheet music, emotion threatening to overwhelm him. Without thinking, Nora reached out, her hand covering his. "She would want Lily to have this," she whispered. His fingers turned, intertwining with hers. "I don't know how to bridge what was lost." With music, Nora answered simply, one note at a time. The moment hung between them, intimate and fragile. Then his phone buzzed, shattering the connection. He withdrew his hand abruptly, checking the screen. "It's late," he said, voice once again controlled. "We should continue tomorrow." The following morning brought unexpected chaos. Nora woke to urgent voices and hurried footsteps. She found Mrs. Harlow in the hallway, face taut with worry. "It's Lily," the housekeeper explained. "She's missing. Mr. Reeves is frantic. He's organizing a search of the grounds." Cold dread washed over Nora. When was she last seen? At bedtime. Mr. Reeves checked on her at midnight, but this morning her room was empty. Nora thought quickly. Eleanor's studio. Has anyone checked there? They rushed to the west wing, finding the studio door ajar. Inside, curled on the small sofa beneath her mother's sweater, lay Lily. Asleep, tear tracks dried on her cheeks, clutching sheet music to her chest. Relief flooded through Nora. She texted Dominic immediately. "Found her, Eleanor's studio, safe." He appeared moments later, rain-soaked and wild-eyed. At the sight of his sleeping niece, his composure crumpled. He knelt beside the sofa, gently stroking Lily's hair. "I thought I'd lost you too," he whispered. The child stirred, opening drowsy eyes. Seeing her uncle, she threw her arms around his neck in a fierce embrace. "I'm sorry," she said. The two simple words, Lily's first spoken since the accident, hung in the air like a miracle. Dominic froze, then gathered her closer, his shoulders shaking with silent emotion. Nora quietly withdrew, giving them privacy for this watershed moment. Hours later, after Lily had been coaxed back to bed, with promises that her mother's studio would remain open to her, Dominic found Nora in the kitchen, making chamomile tea. He spoke, Still sounding dazed, she said she came looking for more of her mother's music and got scared to return to her room alone. "The ice is breaking," Nora replied, offering him a steaming mug. She needed to connect with Eleanor before she could move forward. "I've been a poor substitute," he admitted, accepting the tea. "After the accident, I couldn't bear to talk about Eleanor. I thought protecting Lily from reminders would spare her pain. Sometimes what heals us most is remembering, not forgetting." Nora leaned against the counter. Lily needs her mother's memory alive, not sealed behind locked doors. Dominic studied her with new intensity. "How did you know where to find her?" "Because it's where I would have gone." She hesitated, then added, "My father was a pianist. After he died, I slept with his sheet music for months." The confession hung between them, the first piece of herself she'd offered beyond professional competence. She hadn't spoken of her father's death to anyone in years. "What happened to him?" Dominic asked, voice gentle. "Cancer. I was 12. She traced the rim of her mug. "He taught me that music speaks when words fail. That's why I became a music therapist. And why you understood Lily when no one else could," he concluded. Their eyes met across the kitchen island, no longer employer and employee, but two people recognizing shared wounds. "The gala," he said abruptly. "I won't expect Lily to perform. It was selfish to suggest it." "Actually," Nora countered, "I think she might want to now, with Firefly Dreams, a tribute to Eleanor." Something shifted in his expression. Hope, perhaps. Would you perform something as well? "The foundation donors should hear what you've accomplished with our program." "I'm not part of your program," she reminded him. "You could be," he offered, "after your contract with Lily ends. The foundation needs someone with your talent and insight." The proposition surprised her, creating complicated emotions she wasn't prepared to examine. "Let's focus on Lily's progress first." Later that night, unable to sleep, Nora returned to Eleanor's studio. She sat at the upright piano, playing softly so as not to disturb the house. "You play beautifully," Dominic's voice came from the doorway. Startled, she turned to find him watching her, dressed casually in a t-shirt and lounge pants, a striking contrast to his usual formal attire. "Couldn't sleep?" she asked. "I heard the music." He entered, taking a seat in an armchair near the piano. "What was that piece?" "Something I've been composing. It's not finished." She felt suddenly self-conscious. "It's called Thawing." His eyes met hers, understanding the unspoken meaning. "Would you play it again?" As her fingers returned to the keys, Nora felt something essential changing between them, resonating like perfect harmonies finding each other across a crowded room. As Nora's melody filled the room, Dominic closed his eyes, letting the music wash over him. There was vulnerability in this moment, both of them existing outside their carefully constructed roles. "It's about healing, isn't it?" he asked when she finished. "Your composition." "About the process," she nodded, "the painful parts and the beautiful ones." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I haven't allowed much healing in this house, for Lily or myself. Yet here we are," Nora said softly, "at midnight in Eleanor's studio. Because of you." His voice had dropped to nearly a whisper. The air between them changed, charged with unspoken possibilities. Dominic rose from his chair, moving to stand beside the piano. His proximity made her breath catch. "I should go," she said, suddenly aware of boundaries blurring. "Nora." He rarely used her first name, and it sounded like a plea. "Thank you. For finding Lily. For everything." Their eyes met, and for a breathless moment, Nora thought he might reach for her. Instead, he stepped back, the professional mask sliding back into place. "Good night, Miss Winters." H1. Dissonance and Harmony. The night of the Reeves Foundation Gala transformed the austere mansion into something magical. Fairy lights twinkled in the gardens, and the grand ballroom glowed with candlelight. From her room, Nora could hear the arriving guests, the soft swell of string quartet music. She smoothed her emerald gown, purchased specially for tonight, a rare indulgence. Lily had helped choose it during their secret shopping trip last week, insisting on the color because it matches your eyes when you laugh. The past 2 weeks had seen remarkable changes. Lily spoke more each day, sometimes just a word or two, other times whole sentences. She practiced firefly dreams tirelessly, determined to honor her mother's memory. And Dominic had softened. He joined them for evening meals, shared stories about Eleanor, even played piano occasionally, his fingers remembering what his heart had tried to forget. The night in Eleanor's studio had shifted something between them, though neither acknowledged it directly. A knock at her door revealed Mrs. Harlow, smiling warmly. "You look lovely, dear. Lily's asking for you." Pre-performance jitters. Nora found the child in her bedroom, resplendent in a navy blue dress with silver stars embroidered across the bodice. "What if I forget the notes?" Lily whispered, her small hands trembling. Kneeling before her, Nora straightened the silver headband in Lily's dark curls. "Then you'll find new ones. Music isn't about perfection, it's about expression." Lily threw her arms around Nora's neck. "I wish you could stay forever." The words pierced Nora's heart. Her contract would end in 3 weeks. Though Dominic had mentioned a foundation position, nothing had been formalized. She'd begun receiving inquiries about other opportunities. "Tonight is about celebrating how far you've come," she deflected gently. "Your mother would be so proud." Downstairs, the gala was in full swing. Dominic stood near the entrance, striking in his tuxedo, greeting benefactors with practiced charm. His eyes found Nora immediately, widening slightly at her appearance. He excused himself from his conversation, moving toward them. "You both look beautiful," he said, his gaze lingering on Nora before turning to Lily. "Ready for your debut, princess?" Lily nodded solemnly, clutching Nora's hand. "We've arranged the small stage in the conservatory," Dominic explained. "More intimate than the ballroom. 15 minutes until your performance." As they moved through the crowd, Nora noticed a striking woman in a crimson dress approaching. She placed a familiar hand on Dominic's arm, her smile dazzling. "Dominic, darling, you've been avoiding me all evening." "Vanessa." His tone cooled noticeably. "I've been attending to guests." "And this must be Lily." The woman's gaze passed briefly over the child before landing on Nora with sharp assessment. "And you are?" "Nora Winters, Lily's music teacher." She extended her hand, which Vanessa took with manicured fingers. "Vanessa Blackwood, board member and old friend." Her emphasis on friend carried unmistakable implication. "Dominic and I were just discussing the expansion proposal. The board is quite excited about your Prague acquisition." Nora felt a subtle shift. This woman belonged to Dominic's world of corporate dealings and social connections, a world where Nora was merely staff. "Excuse us," Dominic said tersely. "Lily's performance is about to begin." In the conservatory, transformed by candlelight and flowers, a baby grand piano awaited. Guests gathered, champagne flutes in hand. Dominic addressed the crowd briefly, explaining the foundation's mission and introducing Lily. The child approached the piano with solemn dignity. Her performance of Firefly Dreams wasn't technically perfect, but it held something more valuable, authentic emotion that brought tears to many eyes. When she finished, the applause was thunderous. "And now," Dominic continued, surprising Nora, "we have a special performance from Miss Nora Winters, the remarkable teacher, who has not only restored music to our home, but has developed innovative therapies that the Reeves Foundation will be implementing in children's hospitals nationwide." Murmurs of approval rippled through the crowd as Nora moved to the piano, heart racing. She hadn't prepared an announcement about foundation programs. Settling at the bench, she began playing Thawing, the piece Dominic had heard that night in Eleanor's studio, now completed. The room fell silent as the composition unfolded, beginning with isolated, hesitant notes that gradually found each other, building into a melody of quiet strength and unexpected beauty. She felt rather than saw Dominic watching her, understanding the story she was telling. Afterward, as guests surrounded her with compliments, she searched for him in the crowd. Instead, she found Vanessa, expression calculating. "Quite moving," the woman said smoothly, though perhaps a bit personal for a professional relationship. Before Nora could respond, Dominic appeared with Lily, who was glowing with post-performance excitement. "That was wonderful," he said warmly, but Nora sensed a new reserve in his manner. "Lily, Mrs. Harlow will take you for some dessert while I speak with Ms. Winters." Once they were alone, his expression grew serious. "I apologize for not discussing the foundation program with you before announcing it." It seemed quite detailed for a hypothetical position, she observed. He hesitated. "The board approved it yesterday. I was going to tell you tonight." "And the Prague acquisition?" His jaw tightened. "A separate business matter." "Which would require you to relocate?" she pressed, pieces falling into place. "Temporarily." He avoided her eyes. "Vanessa has been negotiating the deal. She'll oversee the European operations." "I see." The implications were clear, his world spinning on its axis, while she had been designing music therapy programs for a foundation that might soon be an ocean away. "When were you planning to tell Lily about Prague?" Pain flashed across his features. "It's not certain yet, but likely enough for your board to approve it." She stood straighter. "You're making the same mistake again, Dominic. Protecting her from information she deserves to know." His expression hardened. "This is a business decision." "No," Nora countered softly. "It's a family decision. One that affects a child who's just beginning to speak again, to trust again." "I didn't ask for your opinion on my personal choices," he said coldly. The words stung more than they should have. "No. You merely asked me to heal the wounds from your last ones." Something flashed in his eyes. Anger, regret. She couldn't tell which. "Perhaps it's best if we maintain professional boundaries for the remainder of your contract." "Perhaps it is," she agreed, her voice steady, despite the ache in her chest. Later that night, after the guests had departed, Nora found herself back in Eleanor's studio, playing softly in the darkness. The evening had revealed a painful truth. She had allowed herself to imagine belonging in this house, with Lily, with Dominic, but tonight had shown her the reality. She was an employee with an expiration date. The door opened quietly. Lily stood there in pajamas, eyes red-rimmed. "I heard you and Uncle Dom fighting," she whispered. Nora opened her arms, and the child came to her. "Not fighting, just disagreeing." "About me? About what's best for you?" Nora smoothed her hair. "Your uncle loves you very much. But he's sending me away, isn't he? Like everyone does." "No, sweetheart, never." Nora held her tighter. "He might need to travel for work, but that doesn't mean he's leaving you. Will you leave too?" The question broke something in Nora's heart. "My job here has always been temporary, but that doesn't mean I'll stop caring about you." "He cares about you too," Lily whispered. "I can tell." H1, Symphony of Second Chances. 3 days after the gala, Dominic left for a business trip without saying goodbye. The house felt emptier without his presence, though Nora maintained Lily's routine with determined cheerfulness. One afternoon, as November rain lashed against the windows, Mrs. Harlow appeared in the music room with an unusual request. Mr. Reeves asked that you help Lily pack some personal items, she explained uncomfortably. Just essentials for now. Ice formed in Nora's stomach. Pack? For what purpose? He didn't specify. Just that you should help her select things she'd want for an extended stay elsewhere. Lily, overhearing, looked stricken. He's sending me away. I'm sure that's not it, Nora reassured her, though doubt gnawed at her. Let me make a call. In the privacy of her room, she dialed Dominic's number, prepared for a fight. It went straight to voicemail. She tried his assistant next. Mr. Reeves is in meetings all day, the woman informed her briskly, regarding the Prague acquisition and the new family residence there. Family residence? Nora repeated. He's moving Lily to Prague without even discussing it with her? There was a pause. I'm not authorized to discuss Mr. Reeves' personal arrangements. Anger and disappointment warred within her. After everything Lily had overcome, after all their conversations about honesty and healing, Dominic was reverting to making unilateral decisions. She found Lily hiding in Eleanor's studio, clutching her mother's sweater. I don't want to go, the child whispered. Not without you. Nora sat beside her, heartbreaking. Let's not jump to conclusions. I'll speak with your uncle when he returns. He won't listen. He never does. Then we'll make him listen, Nora promised. Together. Later that evening, while helping Lily prepare for bed, Nora noticed a small leather-bound book among Eleanor's belongings that the child had been keeping close. What's this? She asked gently. Mommy's journal, Lily explained. I found it in her desk. It has letters to me and Uncle Dom. Curiosity piqued. Nora asked, May I see? Lily nodded, opening to a page marked with a ribbon. This is from before the accident. The elegant handwriting filled the page. My dearest brother, if you're reading this, something has happened to me. I've always feared your response to loss would be to retreat further behind your walls. Please don't. Lily will need your heart open, not just your home. Remember what music taught us. That beauty exists because of vulnerability, not in spite of it. Don't let what happened with Sophia destroy your capacity for love. Some hearts are worth the risk of breaking. All my love, Eleanor. Nora closed the book gently, understanding washing over her. Who was Sophia? She asked softly. Uncle Dom's fiancée, Lily explained. She left him after his company failed the first time, before he got rich again. The pieces clicked into place. His rigid boundaries, his fear of emotional entanglement, his retreat into work when feelings threatened to overwhelm him. Dominic returned past midnight, the house quiet and still. Nora waited in the library, resolve strengthening with each passing hour. When he entered, clearly surprised to find her there, she didn't waste time on pleasantries. You're moving Lily to Prague. He looked exhausted, his tie loosened, dark circles under his eyes. Not immediately, but without discussing it with her. Or me, it's a temporary arrangement, while I establish the European headquarters, he countered. 6 months at most, and your solution is to uproot her, just as she's finding her voice again, to pack her off like luggage? Nora stood, anger giving her courage. I read Eleanor's letter. He stiffened. You had no right. Lily showed me she's terrified of being abandoned again. First by her mother through death, now by you through choice. I am not abandoning her, he growled, stepping closer. I'm securing her future. No, Nora challenged. You're running away because getting close to people terrifies you. Because Sophia hurt you once, and you've decided that's all relationships can ever be. Don't psychoanalyze me, he warned. Then stop behaving like a textbook case of emotional avoidance. Her voice rose despite herself. Lily needs stability. She needs her school, her friends, her music. She needs this house full of her mother's memories. And you, he demanded, eyes flashing. What do you need, Nora? The question caught her off guard. This isn't about me. Isn't it? He moved closer still. You've created a place for yourself here, with Lily, with me. My contract ends in 2 weeks, she reminded him, heart pounding. You've made it very clear that our relationship is professional. Is that what you want? Professionalism? His voice dropped, something raw and honest breaking through. Because what I want terrifies me. The confession hung between them, changing everything. What do you want, Dominic? She whispered. Instead of answering, he closed the distance between them, his hands framing her face with unexpected gentleness. The kiss was tentative at first, then deepening with months of unacknowledged longing. When they finally broke apart, breathless, he rested his forehead against hers. I've spent years building walls to keep people out. Then you arrived and made me want to tear them down. So why Prague? Why now? He stepped back slightly, hands dropping to hold hers. Because it's easier than risking everything, than admitting I've fallen in love with my niece's music teacher. The words sent warmth cascading through her. Easier isn't always better. I know, he admitted. Eleanor knew it too. She'd be ashamed of me. No, Nora disagreed. She'd understand your fear. But she'd want you to be brave anyway. His thumbs traced circles on her palms. The Prague deal isn't finalized. I could send Vanessa to oversee it. And the foundation program is genuine. I want you to run it, not as an employee, but as a partner. He hesitated. In every sense, if you'll have me. And Lily? His expression softened. Stays here, where she belongs, where we all belong. Dawn found them still in the library, plans redrawn, futures reimagined. When Lily discovered them there, Nora curled against Dominic's shoulder as they dozed on the sofa. Her delighted laughter woke them. Finally, the child declared with all the wisdom of her 8 years. I was getting tired of waiting. 6 months later, as spring returned to the estate, music filled every room. The Reeves Foundation Music Therapy Center prepared for its grand opening, with Nora as its director. Eleanor's studio had been expanded into a teaching space where children from across the city came for healing. In the garden, beneath flowering trees, Dominic watched Nora giving Lily an outdoor lesson, their laughter carrying on the breeze. The walls he'd built had crumbled completely, replaced by something stronger, a family forged through loss and found in music. That evening, as Lily performed a new composition for them, something she'd written herself, Dominic reached for Nora's hand, the diamond ring on her finger catching the light. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For showing me that silence isn't the absence of music. It's where the most important notes begin.